สวัสดีค่ะ and welcome back to Ed Brain Site here on GBN Station. Here and now with me, Kankanok Wishikpan. Nowadays, people tend to think negatively, and that's included self-criticism. Today, Lumpinik will be giving us some advice to see things clearly and also tips to change our bad habits.
Good evening, everyone. I am here at the Georgia Meditation Center here in Atlanta, Georgia. The topic for tonight is really how do you get rid of this self-judgment, this self-criticism, and just being harsh to oneself. And this topic right now is quite important because many people are experiencing this at the moment. For myself here, I've been in the United States for about 5 weeks. And what's so beautiful about being here is we get to develop a community. We get many opportunities to teach classes and also to meet with some of the locals. What's been surprising was to meet those who have been following along on my journey, and then because they've been following online, then we get to meet in person for the first time, and it's just been exciting and very rewarding. But now that we get to meet people in person, it's great because we can take real stories, real case studies that you can take a look at and then use it to help you with your life. So coming back to this topic of being harsh, let's start with the real person. And the person that I wanted to talk about is someone who I met here at the center. His name is Joe. He has been following on the YouTube for since the beginning of the year and find that the wisdom and the teaching of the monastery has been so helpful to him. So to be able to meet Joe, to hear his stories, to connect the face with a real life person, it's just a privilege. And also it helps to deepen the experience as well. But the first time here, Joe just came to introduce himself. He was grateful for the teachings, and then again, he wanted to learn more. But in the very first class, the topic that I was sharing with him was really regarding how do you build a meditation practice. Gave them tips, gave them tools, share with them very practical tips of how do you develop a consistent practice over time that is sustainable and again, very consistent. So the tip that I shared with them was regarding just meditating a minimum of 5 minutes a day. And for myself, I shared my story of doing this a minimum of 5 minutes a day, but for 365 days. So 1 full year. But really, I was developing the habit, and I find that when you can develop the habit, the quality will follow. And then the following year was meditating every single day for 15 minutes. And then year 3 was meditating every day for 30 minutes. This topic just really resonated with Joe. And after class, he just said, okay, that made it so simple. And I can do it. And I am gonna try it. I'm gonna take this opportunity and I'm going to start as of today. So after the class was done, Joe went home and Joe started to practice. And then he came back to class the next week. And that Wednesday class, we taught like normal. Joe came up and he said hello, and he just this time had a smile on his face. He looked at me and he said, I did it. This was the first time that I've ever meditated consistently every single day without skipping a beat. And he said it was so simple, just 5 minutes a day. Some days I meditated longer, but now it gave him hope, and now he can develop that habit and that consistency. So I cheered him on. You can see the look in his eyes of just being very proud and being very hopeful. So it was exciting. Then again, Joe went home, came back week number 2. I taught like normal. Joe came up to me after class and he had now this time an even bigger smile. And he's like, I did it. And he's like, for 2 weeks straight. I can't believe it. And now this practice is consistent. So again, for me, I just cheered him on. And this is so wonderful to see, to have someone who is a practitioner and they use the wisdom and they use the tool. This is the hope. So the same process continue. Week number 3 rolls along. Joe comes in. And for me, as he's walking up, I'm like, okay, he has some good news to deliver. Then he comes up. This time, his head was down. And Joe just looked like a sad puppy. And his head was down, and he just was disappointed. And he said, Venerable Nick, this time, I didn't do it. I actually went a couple of days without meditating, and I broke the streak. And for me, my reaction was, oh, what happened? And for him, he just said that his family was in town, a lot of things came up, and it distracted him. And really, my response was, okay, great. And then now let's get back on track. Learn what you need to learn, and then jump back in. But for Joe, he started to share how he felt bad. He started to judge and analyze this activity or this breaking of the pattern as a negative thing, started to beat himself up, and the normal line of thought that most people can experience. And they say things such as, I can't believe that happened. Why did I do that? I'm not good enough. But these are the kind of patterns that come up. And immediately I told Joe, no, not a bad thing at all, but use this as a learning opportunity to study yourself and start again. And this is the topic that I wanted to talk about today. The issue that many people have is having this critique, and specifically negative critique and negative judgment of what's happening. So again, like I said, people will say, what are the common things? I'm not good enough. What is wrong with me? How come I keep doing this? And they beat themselves up, and again, they judge. But for me, I would say, no, that does not help you. And again, we can fix that. So now it goes to the next part, is then how do we fix this? And for me, it comes in 2 parts that may be helpful for you. So for anyone out there who has a tendency of criticizing oneself, being harsh or judging oneself, I would say change these 2 things. And one is change the mindset and the way you're looking at it, the intent and the intention of it. And really regarding this specific, I'll say case study with Joe, is his intention really was to develop a meditation habit, something that sticks with him for life. And for him was really to change himself, to improve oneself, his behaviors and his patterns, which is a wonderful thing. So again, that is the overall intention. Then with that, come back to connect with it. What exactly are you trying to do? So when you do fall off track, when you do break the pattern, then you just realize, oh, wait, what is happening? Okay, what's happening is, again, I'm trying to change my patterns. I'm in the process of shifting my behavior. I'm in the process of transforming myself. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put myself under a microscope, and I'm gonna study myself, and I'm gonna learn myself. Because when I do know, when I'm conscious of my patterns, I'm conscious of the behavior, then what is the next part? The next part is then you can start to change it. But a lot of people struggle is because we're not even aware of the patterns. But again, when we're trying to shift ourselves, then we need to look at ourselves very neutrally. So the mindset for me, I would say, is come from I want to study myself, I am learning myself, and this is like a playground where I'm just observing. So then when I can observe, then I can start to fix. This is a process. Then the second part for me, and this is where meditation ties into it. And what I always say with meditation, what is the purpose? And the purpose of meditation is for you to develop the skill of what? For those who have been following, yes, the skill of neutral observation. So with this skill and this practice of sitting every day, clearing and purifying the mind, you're able to observe yourself very neutrally. You're able to observe other people neutrally, and then again, you're able to observe the situation and what's happening neutrally. See reality as it is. Now apply that skill that you learn and cultivate in meditation. Now bring it out, like I said, and study yourself. Imagine you're a scientist. Put yourself under the petri dish or on the petri dish and just observe neutrally. No need to beat yourself up. No need to make up a story or a judgment call, but observe. And in Joe's case, I asked him, okay, tell me the facts. Tell me the conditions that were involved in this story. Okay, there you go. And he shared with me that he typically meditates in the evening. Okay, then he had family that came over. Okay, and then you have work. Okay, what else? And then he just went through different scenarios and different issues. And for me, this is a great thing, because when you're trying to change, you're trying to learn yourself also. Then with these facts, then what are the options? And for Joe, the option was now change it and meditate in the morning. And this little adjustment can be a game changer. And for me, I can relate to this because being in the monastery in the beginning as a brand new monk, and we don't have any responsibilities, it's easy. I can just meditate anytime. And for myself, just as preference, in the beginning was I love meditating in the evening because it's dark and it's a bit quiet, and then I can get still very quickly. And then slowly, as my monkhood started to increase, slowly, because I had more responsibilities and more teachings and more things to do, then I couldn't maintain that schedule, and it wasn't consistent. So then I had to change it to the morning time. Okay, let's meditate at 5 in the morning, first thing when you wake up. And again, life started to shift. So then eventually I shifted to 3:30 in the morning, because developing this habit was very important to me. And I just knew in order to keep it, I couldn't sacrifice anything. And I was not willing to take the risk. So then if I wake up at 3:30, I start sitting. It is absolutely quiet. When I'm done, then I'm done. Nothing can get in the way. And for those who are trying to develop this meditation habit, I would say try 3:30 in the morning. And I can guarantee that you'll find that no one's gonna bother you. You're gonna have more time, but really this was something that worked for me. And then this was my suggestion to Joe. After our conversation, he went home, he adjusted and he adapted. And again, the next time that I saw him, he was bright with a smile. He's like, that was so simple. I went home, I adjusted the time for my meditation, and here we go. Now we're back on track, and it can be that simple. But the first step is really just observe yourself very neutrally. I'm just like a kid in the playground. It's like I'm playing a video game, and I'm just looking at myself. And anything that comes up, anything that arises, or a new pattern, I catch myself. I'm like, there it is. Nice. There, I caught it this time. There, I caught it this time. Wow, that's another aspect of me. So I keep learning and learning and learning. So then I just teach and I train myself to come up with a structure, a reward system that happens to work for me. And in the monastery, our master nun, she always teaches us. And she says the best thing and the hardest thing that one can do is to teach oneself. And this is a skill that many people lack, and this is the skill that can help you most. So what the wisdom that the nuns share with us, take this with you. But for me, I wanted to take this time to talk about this because there's only two options. And in life, we all experience these kind of setbacks. And the two options is, one is you can criticize yourself, you can beat yourself up, you can judge yourself, make yourself a martyr or a victim, or be harsh with yourself. But for me, and again, this is just a personal opinion, not a critique of your life, but in my experience, I just find it's not helpful. You start like this, you get into that negative spiral, you get into a shame spiral, the thoughts in your head just keeps going, and the pattern repeats, and it does not help you, and it does not motivate you. For some maybe, but in my experience, it does not help me. So then the second option is use it just to learn. Use it just to see clearly, and then understand what you're trying to do. Be very patient, be very kind, observe, explore, and again, keep adapting and adjusting. And this is just part of the learning cycle and the learning curve. So hopefully, my suggestion would be that you would use your own wisdom and use the compassion, because life is hard. Situations are hard. So don't make it harder than it needs to be. So I hope this tip is helpful for you. So as always, greeting to you from Atlanta, and I hope this was helpful. Take care, everyone, and good night. Satu.
Don't forget to like and subscribe on Pinic YouTube channel. Now it's time for us to say goodbye. Please make sure to check out our episodes of our Edinburgh Insight News program on our website, gbnus.com. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful week. สวัสดีค่ะ